everyone, Miss V here. The question was, what is the hardest thing you've had to deal with while being in quarantine? The struggle really lies with the interaction that I'm losing with teachers and students. Part of my job as a teacher is not so much what the material is, but building that relationship and that trust with others. And you just can't do it sometimes on an electronic like a phone or a desktop or Google Classroom. It's just, you don't get the same interaction that when you see your students walking down the hallway, or the interaction you gain in the classroom, you know, the laughs, the tears, it comes with it all. It's the full package. So being home and trying to make it as engaging and intriguing as possible for some students, it just doesn't hit the same. Even with sports and athletes, I can give them all the workouts in the world, but not physically being there, encouraging them, motivating them, knowing that I'm a staple in their life. It's really hard to digest some days. And when this continues, we have to find alternatives and more creative ways. So I'm willing to do that, but you don't know how desperately I miss seeing teenagers and seeing my friends and co-workers. So that is probably the hardest struggle I have with teaching from home. But we have to persevere and push through, and I'm willing to do that. So
for me, the toughest part about quarantine has been the misinformation and the ignorance of people, particularly online, which is why I try to stay away from social media. You know, having taught about massive pandemics and epidemics, I feel like I've seen, and people should remember what happens when there is an epidemic and everyone continues to interact with one another. It's not good. And just to watch the people, you know, some people that I would consider friends, just ignoring science, ignoring reason, going out against the quarantine, against the orders, people marching to protest the quarantine. It just wasn't something I foresaw, and I guess I should have, but it's kind of brought to light how ignorant our society can be and how much people want to ignore science and think that they know better. It's just, for me, that's been the most frustrating.
The hardest thing for me, this whole quarantine lockdown, is being able to see people. Love my wife and my dog dearly, but I miss seeing the kids at school. I miss seeing my coworkers. I miss seeing my friends, my family. You know, there's Zoom and all these other things that we've been using is good for a little bit, but just like, you know, just talking to somebody face to face and, you know, communication and just being able to see people. I'd say that's definitely the toughest thing for me is isolation.
The hardest thing about quarantine for me had to be the way we left school. So many unfinished things, and not being able to finish the show knowing we were only 2 weeks away from opening night, and not being able to see that happen was most definitely the hardest thing at the moment for me. Now, being in quarantine for over a month, I think the hardest thing is not knowing when, or not having the answers to questions that we all have about when are we going back, what are we going to do, what's it going to look like when things reopen, and that's kind of weird because we always have some sort of answer to questions, and if we don't, then we can find out, but in this case we can't. So I think those are probably the two biggest things that I've had the most difficult time dealing with. and just missing everyone, missing the interactions from my coworkers to seeing the students every day. You know, you guys, with every moment of the day, surprise us with laughs and jokes, or, you know, even the people who get on our nerves we miss. And it's just hard. It's hard to be away from something that you do every day, all day, and then you're all of a sudden ripped away from it. And I look forward to the day that we can be back all together in school, and the day that we can put Legally Blonde up and sell out the crowds and put smiles on everybody's faces, that we're all back together, happy, healthy, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
So what has been most challenging for me during this quarantine? Well, two things. Number one, being a band director and having a bunch of band students at home, and I'm trying to figure out how to do things online and trying to find somewhat meaningful assignments for students who play instruments. They don't have their instruments at home, and it's been very difficult being a band director online. It just doesn't work, and that's been really stressful for me. As a person in home, I'm finding the most challenging thing has been just, I was actually surprisingly how hard this has been on my kids. My older daughter is 15 and my younger is 11, and both of them are experiencing stress that I just didn't expect. And we're set up, and we have laptops for them, and we have everything. It's just, but just the stress of being at home all day, every day, the same routine, and not knowing what's going on. It's really, there's an unknown emotional toll that's taken on the family and the kids, and it's quite disconcerting. And I think that's really been the hardest part during this whole thing. We've grown closer together, but it's still watching them stress and worry about life and school and missing out on things as much as our students do. It's been very, very difficult to watch and to be a parent and try to be strong and stand up, and because we're stressed too. And so that has really been the biggest challenge for me.
So here are some challenges that I'm dealing with during this quarantine. First of all, teaching. Teaching has definitely changed. I am learning how to interact with kids online, and I just really, really miss that personal interaction, seeing everyone's faces and having live conversations in person. It is definitely something new, something I never thought we would ever be doing. So I think teaching has definitely changed for me, and it has been quite a challenge as far as communicating and motivating students. We've always had Google Classroom before, but this takes it to a whole new level, and I just really miss seeing everyone's faces in school. Challenge number 2 would be parenting during this quarantine. It is trying at times. I am home with my 3 boys, ages 9, 11, and 13, and it is tough. My husband leaves for work around 6:30 in the morning, and he's not home till about 5. So I am feeding the kids breakfast, lunch, and dinner, helping with homework, and breaking up arguments here or there, mostly revolving around the Xbox, and taking turns. And even as I'm talking now, to close the door, another distraction. So I think overall it is it's just tough sharing close quarters with so many. Overall, I wish everybody the best. I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe. Seniors especially, if you're watching this for Senior Project, I'm thinking of you and hope you're doing well. I really am upset that we're not going to be seeing each other. I'm sorry to hear that you're not having prom and senior trip, and who knows what graduation's going to look like. So please know I'm thinking of all of you. I miss you, and stay well. Bye-bye.
This is take number 350, I think, because you know how technical I am and how well I do things like video. Not only that, I keep staring at myself and thinking, you're really going to let somebody see you with that hair? But alas, I am. The question that I've been asked is, what's the most difficult thing that I've dealt with during this quarantine? And certainly the most difficult thing that I have dealt with is missing my family. That's my kids, my sons, my grandchildren, you guys, my colleagues. You all are a part of what I consider to be my family. I so love it when I get to see you take some of the life skills that you're learning in class and you apply it to other parts of your life. So I miss things like you coming in and telling me some of the things that you're dealing with and how you're conquering them and working through them, building your character. I miss seeing you on stage. I so love it when I see you take and connect. All of a sudden you've got something that you've been working on for so long and that smile comes across your face. I miss you coming down in the mornings after a game on the mat, on the court, on the field, and me being able to say congratulations. I miss hearing the inflection in your voices, because now that we are on the computer, it is so easy to not be able to understand how somebody is really feeling, because it's all in writing rather than in words. So I miss all of that. I'm graduating with my seniors this year, so I cannot wait to see you, the underclassmen, my colleagues, get back into this so that all of us can have closure to this year. As far as me, I'm doing fine. I have my sunrises in the morning that I get a chance to run down to before school on the dog beach. I have my sunsets in the evening and the little fishing beach right across the street, right across the bridge. I get to talk to my sons and my grandsons through FaceTime, and I get on a limited basis to talk to you through a classroom. And on occasion, I've been finding myself talking to the pictures on the wall, because you know how I love to talk, and at times there's nobody around to talk to. I'll stop that once this quarantine is over. So until then, I miss you. I love you. And I want you to know that together we will make it through this. And if we do this together, you will come out stronger, more recentered, and you will have learned so much from this experience that it will build character. I've been through a lot of traumas in my life, and I promise you that when you make it through this and you put it in perspective, it will make you grow. I love you. I miss you. Keep in touch with us and stay healthy.